give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. Yeah, you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. And there you are at my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy. I am in misery. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones, I'm losing it all. Stuck in my head, I am in misery. Deep inside myself, all I get, my only family. Stuck in the grave, can someone rescue me? I'm burning alive, I got it, I am in misery.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined over there by my wonderful tag team partner, astridpizarro. And Astrid, can you please introduce us to our very special guest for this Vengeance Day preview show?
The check clears, so the booker did her job. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, we got host and Twitch streamer, Santi. I was going to say TikTok lover, but I know you have problems with TikTok sometimes, so I don't want to say too much on that. But how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing great. No, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk some NXT, and I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Oh,
It's a
thank you.
very, we appreciate you coming by. It's a very exciting time in NXT. Just this past Tuesday night, we had the debut of a mysterious individual.
He who shall not be named. We don't know his name yet.
CW Sports is claiming it's Ricky Starks. The internet seems to know him as Ricky Starks, but the absolute one seems to be official enough that we can go with that. Ricky Starks in NXT. What was your thoughts seeing this last night on TV?
My thoughts were, this is so unnecessary, but it is the most power play that I've ever seen WWE do. They didn't need Ricky Starks at this moment, right? We were all expecting him at some point or another. We were expecting him after Vengeance Day, maybe in the lead up to Stand and Deliver. I felt like it was a foregone conclusion. But to bring Ricky Starks when you don't need him, like 10 minutes after being released by AEW, to me, is just such a power move by WWE. I loved it personally because, you know, it didn't build up to anything. It was really just WWE saying, Ricky Starks is here. The Absolute One is here. And Vengeance Day, by the way. I thought it was a cool move. I was not expecting it. Completely caught me off guard for them to do it that quickly.
Yep. And we can also, along with this, in the typical WWE form and fashion, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling has announced that Ricky Stark's appearance on Saturday, February 15th, due to unforeseen circumstances, he will not be able to attend. Which means we may see him at Vengeance Day in some form or fashion, depending on which match he might fit best in. If they're going to slot him in at the top with Femi in the World Championship, if maybe he's just there to do a backstage promo or to go ahead and sit down with a Corey Graves or a Booker T. All kinds of options out there, but since he's not going to be at his booking, he's definitely got an opening now for that Vengeance Day card.
Yeah, perfect timing, huh?
Sometimes everything just falls into place for WWE.
Sometimes they just wait. They just wait, and eventually the cards fall in at the advantage of the WWE, it seems. And it doesn't seem like it's just Ricky Starks. It just sort of feels like all of the dominoes are falling in place for the WWE. And with Ricky Starks appearing out of nowhere, obviously that raises the questions about Malachi Black, about Miro, of course, Alistair or Rusev, whichever way you want to call them. I mean, they could appear tomorrow, it seems. Who knows at this point?
Everything is on the table. It's very exciting. It's an exciting time to be a WWE fan again. These are the things that the Monday Night Wars did, where randomly every now and then somebody would jump ship that nobody knew was like able to be there that quickly. And we talked about it on Tuesday, the difference between WWE giving 90 days to let talent get their affairs in order, but to keep them off the television, versus AEW's idea of letting contracts run out, which poses the problem that once those contracts run out, they can show up the next day on your competitor's TV screen.
Yeah, imagine also for W starting off the year with Penta, Jordan, and Ricky Starks still on top of it.
Oh, right. Like if I'm Ricky Starks, like I would never have considered any other move aside from a WWE move. Because if I'm Ricky Starks, right, a more or less through and through AEW talent that made the majority of his stock, his footprint in wrestling through his time in AEW, I'm looking at like, well, look at what they did with Ethan Page. Look at what they did with Lexis King. Somebody that was doing nothing in AEW, being wasted away, being given stuff to do in NXT. I would look at the red carpet that they rolled out for both Penta and for Jade Cargill as well. And to me, it would be a no-brainer that that's where I would want to go.
Yeah, and with Cody and with Jade, you know, these are people that he's very familiar with. I mean, he's familiar with WWE. He's been there for Rumbles. He's been there for Manias in the past, accompanying Cody and Jade with all their kind of stuff. Famously, whether it did him any favors or not, he was certainly there. But we're here to talk about Vengeance Day. What do you think about the 6-match card that they've got assembled? Ash, we'll start with you, and then we'll head on over to Santi.
I feel like I'm kind of torn about it because I'm obviously looking at what I have here on my notes, but having Eddy and Trick Williams, just like that's okay for me. Ethan and Giovanna, just it feels like it's one of those that's going to be short matches most likely. Fallon is definitely I'm excited for, and so is for the women's 4-way, the tag team, because I don't want Axiom to lose it. I'm not excited for that. And Oba, he's just going to dominate him. Like there's nothing else that's happening there really. So that's why I feel like I'm like more than like half and half about it. So I'm really torn on the card right now.
Santi?
I want to say I'm also torn. Like when I look at the card, I'm like, the men's championship and the women's championship match seem like filler matches as we just get the champion through to stand and deliver. No one is expecting Giulia or Femi to lose here. Neither of them are really the focal point of this storyline either. I feel like when it comes to the triple threat, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, their little micro story means more than their interactions with Femi. And when I look at the women's, Giulia's third wheel or fourth wheel here, it's not even her story. So it just sort of feels like we're in a standstill for the champions, the main champions, as we get to stand and deliver. But here's the thing. Vengeance always delivers. It weirdly is always a very good NXT PLE. It always delivers. So I don't want to, at first glance, say, I'm not excited about this. It's just because I know that they're going to deliver. But yeah, like when I look at this card, it seems like it's not like the strongest card. Again, predominantly for the top 2 championships, but I'm excited for some of the other matches that are in here, like Fallon and Stephanie Vaquer, as you mentioned. I'm always excited for a Frazer and Axiom match, and I'm interested in what they're going to do with Eddy Thorpe and Trick Williams, with it being a strap match. I feel like that's a great stipulation. So there's stuff to like on paper, but I have a feeling that once the dust settles, that this is going to be a great show. Yeah.
And we've got the looming idea that there's going to be a faction coming along as well.
That's right.
They've been teasing a faction debuting. So with all of the graphics cards that they've had with the rainbow, I call it, the old school rainbow in the
Retribution.
TV network. Yeah, Retribution style. So we shall see what happens there. But we're going to go ahead and start with, as Santi talked about, the strap match between Eddy, Thorpe, and Trick Williams. And since you're excited about the idea of a strap match, what do you think they could do? And what do you think of the build that they have done between Eddy and Trick to get to this point?
Sure. I like the build mostly because it just sort of felt like this concept of these two guys costing each other the big prize, the NXT championship, and Femi. So like, to me, that's always just sort of worked for me as a pretty traditional storytelling mechanism. But I also like the idea of putting specifically Trick Williams in something like a strap match, because we're seeing a meaner Trick Williams, a darker, more somber Trick Williams that doesn't really wait for chances to come his way. He takes things that he wants. So what I'm looking to get out of this is the most violent version of Trick Williams that we could possibly get, mostly because if I'm reading the writing on the wall, it looks like they're setting up Trick Williams versus Femi, most likely at Stand and Deliver, or maybe another show before that. Maybe the Madison Square Garden show. That could be a great headliner, Trick Williams versus Femi. But if you want me to believe that Trick Williams can beat freaking Femi, I need to get the darkest, most sinister version out of Trick Williams on TV, and I think it starts here.
Yeah, I agree. Strap matches are always kind of iffy because it depends on which version of the strap match they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're just doing a generic, we're getting a pinfall strap match and the strap is just an element to the match, or are we getting this four corners touching strap match that we had with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk on the main roster? And WWE never quite tells us which way we're going with it, so it's always tough to tell. I love Trick. I've loved Trick for a while. I think, and I've said this to Ashton on numerous times on Tuesdays, that I feel like they're underwhelming us at Stand and Deliver with Femi versus Eddy Thorpe as the men's world championship match. I feel like this is the build that we've been building to Eddy getting that one-on-one chance at Femi in that giant spotlight of a Stand and Deliver. And I feel like that's kind of an underwhelming thing. Because at that point, I had assumed Trick would be gone. I thought we would lose Trick at the Rumble. I didn't think we'd continue to get Trick for Vengeance Day, Roadblock coming up, like you said, the Madison Square Garden show, all kinds of great stuff coming up. But these two guys have been killing it so far with everything that they've been doing. While we've been critical here of Eddy Thorpe and his promos as the past, I've loved the focus that they've given to him now, where it's not Eddy Thorpe disappears for 3 or 4 months after Eddy Thorpe has a big push, which was his strategic thing. He has a push with Dijak, goes away for 3 or 4 months, come back, has a program, goes away, comes back. At least now he's got a steady push. I'm leaning towards Eddy Thorpe wins this match to build to Eddy Thorpe versus Femi down the line at Stand and Deliver. Astrid?
I'm really torn about it because I've seen both of your sides when I was thinking about this match as well. So thinking we're seeing like Trick transform to something a little bit different, a little bit more aggressive than he's been. But at the same time, I feel like even with the loss, I feel like Eddy has been the constant on TV lately. So at the same time, do you want him to lose when he's like kind of getting built up at the same time? So I've been really torn about it, but I keep thinking somehow I feel like we're gonna lead on to Oba versus Trick Williams happening again, and I feel like this is the moment that Trick is gonna say, "And I faced you now, and I learned my lesson, and I'm gonna show you how I learned my lesson by facing you again and doing better than I did before." So that's why I feel like this is like, I don't want to call it like a stepping stone, but almost like his way of getting back into that. So I'm gonna go with Trick winning this one.
There we go. I think either way, I think these two guys have known to perform at a high level. Eddy Thorpe's done strap matches before, and I've enjoyed the one with Dijak. I'm excited to see what comes next. Now, Astrid's hand over the eyes moment of the month, as it always is. Axiom is fine. Axiom is fine. Axiom takes on Yoshiki, Inamura, and Josh Briggs for the NXT Tag Team Championships.
No, we're not doing
concerned.
this.
I'm concerned.
No.
Can I tell you why I think I'm concerned that Nathan Frazer and Axiom are going to lose, even though I don't want them to? We have Inamura coming from Noah, right? And I don't know that it's like an official like trade between WWE sending Omos over there and Inamura here. Omos went to Noah and won tag team gold. I'm just saying maybe that's just part of the handshake agreement. Our guy goes over there, learns your ways, wins a tag team gold, and then we bring him back. Maybe that's the deal here with Inamura as well. That's literally the only reason why I think it's on the table.
You made it even worse for me, Sansa. How could you? I get it, and not only that, but I always go along the lines of not only because I love them both as a tag team, and I don't want this to be over anytime soon, but I feel like they have faced pretty much anybody you can put in front of them, and they have beat them all. So it's like I want this to be another like tally on their list of like the people they have beaten, and I would like to see that happening. I feel like even if it happens here at this point, if they were going to do a turn to either one of them, they should have done it by now, because if not, it just seems like it's going to get old at this point of like kind of teasing it and nothing happening. But no matter what, I'm sorry, Sansi, even with your point, I cannot go against my boy, so I'm going to go with Axiom. Sorry.
No, I feel that I'm going to go with them as well. I was just throwing it out into the universe that as a possibility. I don't know. I just feel like they're, with how great their championship run has been, they're destined for something like a match with the Hardys or something at Stand and Deliver. I feel like they've earned something huge, a big moment at Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that.
I agree that I think that there's a big moment, and I'm rooting for and still desiring the downfall of Naxium. We call him Naxium here because we made the name, and then all of a sudden they started calling themselves Fraxium on TV. So we just said, well, no, we're just going to forget that, and it's Naxium here. But either way, I've been rooting for their downfall for months. I've been waiting and praying and hoping that this downfall happens, because I think that there's so much that they can do as single stars. They've both proven through this tag team run and through that wonderfully weaved storytelling of constantly getting on each other's nerves about it, that they both have singles ambitions, and I think that they're both capable of it, and I think they can both deliver on the highest level. Whereas Santi's right, I think that the Noah connection could play a part here. I don't see any reason why Briggs and Inamura can't win these tag titles, because then it brings the entire tag team division back to the same level. Because without Naxium as that top of the tag team division, everybody else is kind of in the same level. Kind of like Undisputed Era was. They were head and shoulders above most of the other people at one point in the tag team division. And so you have to take them out of it. You have to, get rid of them. And at this point, I think there are things that they can do on the main roster. I think telling a story with Nathan Frazer and Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania or coming out of WrestleMania, if Seth keeps going on this delusional heel work run that he's kind of sort of teasing with the Royal Rumble stuff, I think there are some fun stuff that you could do there. Take the mask off Axiom and bring back A-Kid would be fantastic. I'm sure Astrid would be thrilled. So I'm going to keep rooting against it, and even though it mostly because it hurts her and because it makes me smile, I think that Inamura and Briggs are going to win the NXT Tag Team Championships from Naxium at Vengeance Day. Going out on a limb myself again. We move on to our first women's match of the night that I have listed on here. We've got 2 of them, 2 out of 6 matches, which ain't bad. Fallon Henley defends the NXT Women's North American Championship against Stephanie Vaquer. Astrid, you're a big fan of Stephanie. You have been for a while. Are they just going to rocket her to the moon and put the title on her right away?
Yeah, la primera, gotta give her the first title. See, it goes with it. Come on, you can't root against her. No, it's like, I know we have been saying it for months that it feels, the only thing I feel like the downfall of this would be like, I don't see Stephanie or Giulia losing the titles anytime soon. If Stephanie were to be crowned champion, I feel like that will be the only thing. But I feel like at the same time, somebody like Stephanie, who has a lot of experience, is able to elevate a lot of these like younger ladies that don't have experience. And I feel that this is something we're gonna get out of this title run when she gets crowned champion. Plus, it was like it would be cool to have that shot at the end of the show of her and Giulia with both their titles in the ring too. Like I would love to see that either at Vengeance Day or the NXT right after. But I am looking for that visual of them together with gold, and I feel like it looks great, and I would not be opposed to it whatsoever. I feel like the only thing that I have in the back of my mind, though, even though I'm picking Stephanie, is the fact that Stephanie doesn't have backup at Fallon. Henley does have fatal influence there. So I wonder if maybe do we have a Kalani or a Jada Parker being like, oh, we want to get a title shot and we don't want to deal with fatal influence. So might as well deal with Stephanie. So help Stephanie kind of win if fatal influence kind of decides to distract them. That's the only thing that I'm thinking in the back of my mind, but I want to go against La Primera. I'm sorry.
Santi?
Yeah, I'm the same way. La Primera. She's my favorite right now in NXT. Here's the thing. I'm conflicted in terms of like where I want to go because I have a vision in my mind of where Stand and Deliver is. And that vision is the women of NXT close Stand and Deliver for the first time ever. I firmly believe that in terms of how stacked the women's division is, how well booked the women's division has been over the last 12 months compared to the men, that they've earned the right to close Stand and Deliver. And in my mind, it's Giulia versus Stephanie Vaquer. That's what I have in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how we get there. I don't know if it's Stephanie Vaquer losing this and going into Stand and Deliver to challenge Giulia, or are we going to go into a Keith Lee situation where one of them walks out as double champions at Stand and Deliver with a big moment, with the big confetti, with the double belts? That'd be pretty cool too. That being said, that's so far down the line. I say so far, but it's only 2 months that I'm going to try and keep it simple and just say Stephanie Vaquer wins here and she walks out as the women's North American champion. She's too damn good to not put a belt on. She's just incredible.
Yeah. Asher and I have been talking about this since they started teasing the debuts of the 3 foreign women coming over with Giulia, Zarya, and Stephanie. The problem is you start to get that logjam on that women's North American championship if you have Stephanie at the top of it. I don't mind Stephanie eating a pin here as long as you use terrible toxic or fatal influence, as they want to be called. If you use them to make sure that it happens that way, and you have so many challengers waiting in the wings with, as we saw last night, Carmen Petrovic, Jada Parker, and Kalani Jordan, I think you can quickly move Stephanie off this picture. And I've been saying for months that I think that the Stand and Deliver main event is some form of Giulia versus Roxanne versus Stephanie. And I still think that that's probably in some form or fashion your Stand and Deliver main event. Because I don't think that there's anything other than Ricky Starks versus Femi that you can do that's big enough to top that. Because like Sandy said, this women's division has been booked out of its mind for months. It's been the best women's division in North American wrestling for a long time. There's no women's division that can even stand close with the amount of depth and the amount of top talent, everything about it. I think you got to give Fallon Henley the championship here again, and then you move that on and you continue to have her working with others. And I think it's Lola Vice that costs her the championship here. Because we saw when she was cutting that promo in the parking lot, when apparently Lola Vice walked by and I didn't recognize that it was Lola Vice. Not to mention, apparently Lola Vice won a women's championship opportunity at a house show after Giulia won the championship, and they've done nothing with that. So potentially there's some kind of thing there. I think we could get into a storyline where Lola and Stephanie are trying to battle each other at Roadblock to get to Giulia at Stand and Deliver. So I'm going to go with Fallon Henley. I think it sucks for Stephanie to continue to take these big losses at these big events. But at the same time, I think that there's a good payoff where I think she comes out of Stand and Deliver as the champion. And I think that you move Giulia up and you let Stephanie and Zarya kind of be those gatekeeper types in the division. You move Roxanne on, you move Giulia on, and you start rebuilding this division with Cora, Jade, with Stephanie Vaquer, with Jada Parker, with Lola Vice, with all these other women who are here who are ready to go. Sol Ruka especially at the top of that list too.
Mhm.
There's so many, you just keep thinking, you just keep naming people.
It's tough.
So that's 2 Stephanie Vaquers and 1 Fallon Henley, me on my own little branch again. Oh, this branch is starting to get real twiggy over here. I don't like it. Hopefully we can all agree on this one. He signed the home harmless agreement. He's medically cleared. Javon Evans is going to take on Ethan Page. I said it last night. This match should not be more than 5 minutes. Ethan Page should do nothing but target the mouth, and this match should end by referee stoppage with about 5 minutes, with Javon in a bloody heap, bleeding from his mouth, and re-injuring that mouth to give us 2 whole months to get to Stand and Deliver, to have Javon's big moment where he comes back and he defeats Ethan Page in some massive match that moves Ethan to the main roster. But I think Javon Evans needs to lose this, unfortunately. Santi, what about you?
I honestly, you took the words out of my mouth. Like it's the best play, especially because like I see Ethan Page like on the main roster yesterday. He could have been on the main roster at any moment. So it's just about finding the best moment to send off Ethan Page to the main roster. And I don't think that this match is it yet. I feel like it is something bigger at Stand and Deliver. Maybe a unsanctioned, no holds barred, last man standing type of match at Stand and Deliver between these two. Basically, what I'm saying is that I am foreseeing the light at the end of the tunnel for Ethan Page's time in NXT, but I just don't think it's yet. And I believe that it's going to be off the back of a much bigger match at Stand and Deliver between these two. So I am going to take Ethan Page here.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same. And there's no way Javon wins this. And just like it wouldn't make sense either way by having him win it after the injury that he's had. I feel like it makes Ethan look terrible if that does happen. So it's just like, and we've seen Ethan grow more aggressive and more into like that darker side of it too. It's like that you see him enjoying the pain he's giving to other people, and it feels like I could see it like Ed was saying, like the referee stopping it, and then Ethan would try to continue to beat up Javon until maybe Ava comes out and says, "Look, he's done. Just stop it at this point. You know, he's out." And to see like Ethan almost like having his boot like by Javon's face and just claiming that glorious moment for himself, that he beat him the way he did. And I feel like now also it feels, if you can give him something else to do for the moment until Javon comes back, because now we don't have Cedric here either. So I feel like you kind of find a gap in there somewhere for Ethan Page until Javon comes back, and then he gets that big pop from the crowd when he does return, as Ethan is beating up somebody and he comes in for the save, which is what I see happening towards that Stand and Deliver match. So definitely going with Ethan.
Is it too cruel to see, like your scenario playing out, and then he takes the blood and he kind of puts a smiley face on Javon's back?
After
is that too much?
Smile.
Because the smile is the whole thing that started it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
that's true.
I don't know, storytelling. I don't know, might be too much.
It'd be pretty cool. It would be cool, but I don't know if they're willing to take that step.
NXT might not be quite ready to go that far just yet. Speaking of people that are finally ready to hopefully tear themselves apart, A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are taking on the ruler of NXT, Femi, the NXT champion. Sandy, what do you got here?
I mean, like, this is the most filler match on the entire card. Not a single soul on this planet is going to believe that Femi is going to lose this match. And here's the thing, like, the thing that makes this match potentially intriguing would be the implosion of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. But are they willing to do that on NXT when they've been teasing that on the main roster? So I don't even think that that's on the table either. I think it's just going to be Femi eating these two guys alive. I do believe that these guys will damage each other and cost each other the match, and maybe they can take whatever heat they generate with each other onto a storyline in the main roster, but it doesn't seem like that's the plan, because they seem to be slowly building foundations for them being a cornerstone tag team of the Raw tag team division. So I I don't see another end goal aside from Obafemi just eating these guys alive.
Yeah. I still have the visual of them beating up Femi at first and thinking, oh yeah, we got him beat up and he's done with. And then when Obafemi is probably on the outside, they look at each other, it's like, oh, we gotta go against each other somehow here for a moment. And you get that moment that they do go against each other, but that's when Obafemi is able to recover and take over both of them. And I just see him just pinning both of them on top of each other, because that's something that Oba would do and show him off the way he is. I feel like that works perfectly, and that's my visual of him winning this match. And there's, even with this going on, there's no way Oba's losing it. There's a reason why they have him here, because either he stacks both of them or he pins either one of them, but he's definitely not losing this match any way, shape, or form. And that's why we have 3 people in this match and not just a one-on-one match. But either way, I feel like it's going to be entertaining to see Oba just take these 2 ragdolls through this whole match, to be honest.
I'm hoping they're willing to give NXT the ability to have this payoff. I think it would be great storytelling to have told this story all this time and to give the payoff to NXT to continue it on the main roster heading into WrestleMania. I think it'd be fun if we have the utter implosion of A-Town Down Under here, where they do exactly what they said they were going to do. They take Obafemi, the 2 of them beat him down with chairs, with whatever they can. They put him through the announce table. They bury him with debris. And then they go, okay, me versus you, let the better man win. And Austin Theory tries to do it straight up. Grayson Waller tries to cheat. Obafemi finally gets back in this match, and they all have to go back at it tooth and nail. And then Obafemi does exactly what Ashton says and pins both of them at the same time. I wish it were more unique than that, but I think it's going to be that. But I hope they give in to the moment for NXT. Because if they don't, like Santi says, it's kind of a waste of time. Because if they don't give them that implosion moment, nothing really happened here. And I think there's something special that can happen here. With that promo the other night on NXT, hearing Austin Theory talk about how great Grayson Waller is and how many great matches he's had where the other guy is the guy who's remembered for it. And then hearing Grayson Waller get so angry that all he does is take more shots at Johnny Gargano and talk about how all Austin Theory's ever been is another guy in somebody else's group. It just shows that Theory's the good guy, Waller's the bad guy. And they just need to go with it and give us that moment, because the Raw Tag Team division can honestly live without them. So I think that they really need to just put a nail in this coffin as quickly as they possibly can and get us to Mania for Waller versus Theory. And then we move on to what I think is going to be the main event of the show. I think everybody's hoping for this to be the main event of the show. Bayley returns to NXT Premium Live Events to challenge for the NXT Women's title with Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, and Giulia in a fatal 4-way match. Astrid, is there any way Giulia loses this match?
No. As much as I love Roxanne, she's not winning this either. No, I like the storytelling that we have here, because it just feels like a spider web in a way, is how I visualize it. Because we do have that story with Roxanne and Bayley, but also Roxanne with Cora, and the fact that Bayley is seeing the future of the women's division here that she helped build at the same time. So there's so many layers to this story, but I feel like it's going to end up being Roxanne either getting distracted with Cora or with Bayley, and Giulia be able to get that win with whoever is left over from that scenario. So I definitely don't see her losing. There's a reason why there's 4 of them here. It's similar to the Obafemi situation. This is just so we can have somebody else to pin. In my eyes, I just see Cora getting pinned. Then that's the reason why she got added last minute to this match, just so she can be the scapegoat for this. That's just the way I visualize it. But there's no way Giulia loses this. But still, this is, even if it is not, this is my main event for this pay-per-view, because it should be the main event. There's no other correct answer for this, except for this one, to be honest.
I remember basically saying everything that you said here when it came to the Heatwave Fatal 4-Way. And then that ended up happening. So I want to say it's obvious that Giulia is going to win this, but that heat wave fatal 4-way with the Ethan Page winning out of nowhere still just lives rent free in my head. But I don't see that as a possibility here quite yet. Mostly because, as I alluded earlier on the show, I mentioned that I felt like Giulia was like fourth wheel here, where everybody else kind of has a plot and a narrative that can move forward except for Giulia. Because Giulia's big beef here is Roxanne Perez, but that doesn't even seem to be Roxanne Perez's main focus at the moment, because she's got the thing going on in that will likely have matches in NXT with Cora Jade, and then what will likely be a main roster feud and maybe even a WrestleMania match, who knows, against Bayley. So we already kind of see 1 foot in and 1 foot out for Roxanne Perez, very much like how Braun Breaker had 1 foot in, 1 foot out at this very same time last year. So I am going to take Giulia here. I don't want to overthink this, but I also, there's like 1% of me, I'm like, what if they pull a Heat Wave 2024 again?
Yeah, and on that, Cora Jade's the choice if you're going to do that heat wave type of thing.
Yeah.
Cora Jade's that absolute choice where you can build to Roadblock, where Giulia takes the championship back. Or is this an appearance from Masha Slamovich? Is this the continued telling of Masha and Cora, where Masha shows up in Cora's biggest moment with that envelope with the picture of Cora Jade in it, that Cora Jade teased her with in TNA a couple weeks ago? We can't forget about the Masha of it all. Yeah, I think it's sad that it's so obvious, because I think this could be a really killer match between everything going on. And at least we're getting matches that seem predictable with predictable outcomes, that seem like they're going to be good matches with great build. We're at least getting matches that have a good build going into them. And Bayley has done some fantastic work in about a month's worth of time down in NXT, being the absolute workhorse. I mean, this week alone, she wrestled on Raw in Nashville, got to Orlando to wrestle on Tuesday. Now she's headed to the West Coast to make sure that she's there for the NBA All-Star Game, Celebrity Game on Friday night, to then be in Washington, D.C. Saturday night for Vengeance Day. Like, that's a hell of a week. It's a lot of jet lag. So I'm very excited to see what comes next, but I'm also very excited to just see what comes here, because Bayley versus Roxanne is going to be a fun match. And like Santi said, I could see that on either a stand and deliver or a WrestleMania card this year, especially if they want to go deep in the WrestleMania card this year. That could be a fun WrestleMania non-title match on that card. Plus, they're probably both going to be in the Elimination Chamber in Toronto, because Bayley's already qualified and Roxanne has her qualification match this week. So there's definitely a lot to tell there. But that has been the wonderful Vengeance Day card. Santi, we want to thank you again for stopping by and showing up and joining us for this. Tell all the people where they can find you anywhere on the internet.
You can find me at all things Santi's app. If you Google Santi's app, pick your poison, the Twitch page. Well, not yet. Actually, when this releases, the Twitch page will be up. Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is that you want to follow me, pick your poison on the type of social media that you like. I'll be there talking about wrestling.
And just for our people who are here, and for me especially, because I haven't been able to really research much into it, talk to us about Wrestling is Cool on Patreon.
For sure. The Wrestling is Cool Patreon is patreon.com/Santi's app. Over there, we upload our Wrestling is Cool podcast with my co-host, Sancho West, 3 days earlier than the free feeds. But then we also upload our Raw reviews and our SmackDown reviews. We do what's called the Wrestling is Cool Match Club, where we allow our patrons to vote on a set of 10 matches every week, and we pick the top 5 most voted for us to do watch-alongs and for us to narrate our thoughts on the matches and where we were in that moment in time when those matches were happening. And then both Sancho and I, we have opposite series going on at the same time. I'm currently doing the Undertaker WrestleMania match watch-along, where I watch the matches, narrate over them, but then I also rank them from worst to best as I watch them. And Sancho's doing the same thing for the Royal Rumble matches. So lots of content on the Patreon if the YouTube stuff or the Twitch stuff isn't enough.
And it should be, but if there isn't, go ahead. It's a great deal. It's an affordable deal, so go ahead and check that out. Thank you for joining us. Astrid, tell the good people where they can find you for the rest of the next week or so.
Well, I think this is my last thing for the week at least. Yay! There's no WCW on Monday, but after that, the week after, we will start season 2 of the Million Classic. Again, Tuesdays doing Taking Over with Ed. This is going to be the next one will be the post Vengeance Day show. So we're really excited to see what happens after this. And then you can find me on Fridays doing Making an Impact with Brett and Mark as well, having fun over there now to see what happens here on the road to the next pay-per-view. Now that Josh Alexander will not be in TNA and everything else is happening there with all the changes going on. For me, you can find me on my Twitter, Blue Skies, astridpizarro, and my Instagram and Threads, astridpizarro20. And again, I'm on the road to 300 subs on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I upload. And hit a like on the video as well. We really appreciate it.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Skies at edfries12584. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/edfries2002. As we've got WWE 2K25 coming out, we're going to have a lot of fun content for that. Hopefully this year, hopefully I can follow through on it like I didn't follow through on it on 2K24. We're going to go ahead and do that. You can find me here every Tuesday night. You can find me here later tonight as me and a guest of my kind or by myself will be going ahead and reviewing NXT Vengeance Day post show. We'll go ahead and get that all straightened out. And then, of course, I'll be back on Sunday for my Marvel Talk episode with Andre and Peggy as we talk all things Captain America Brave New World. That's coming out this week. So we're going to go ahead and see that over the weekend. We're going to go ahead and review that on Sunday at 3 p.m. So make sure you're there for that. And of course, if you want to go over to our local establishment, you can find all the great content we have down there at Ole Podcasts on all the social medias and YouTube and Twitch at our local establishment. If it's on the air, we probably have a show for it, whether it be music, whether it be movies, whether it be RuPaul's Drag Race, whether it be Making an Impact, all kinds of fun stuff. Ring of Honor, AEW. We got an AEW pre-show that's on the YouTube channel now that you can talk. You can hear Lauren and Auntie Collins talk all about AEW's Grand Slam before it happens, what they think is going to happen, all kinds of great stuff there. Go ahead and check it out. Again, we thank you one more time, Mr. Santi Zap, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. For everybody else, we'll see you next time. Have a good night. Goodbye.
I am in misery.